Okay. So guys, thank you so much. Welcome to the How to Deal with Mean Girls webinar. I have been researching this topic for years, and I unfortunately have had my fair share of mean girls, and I'm guessing you guys have as well. And I see we have men on this, and I'm glad because I don't think that this is just an issue that women deal with. I've had men reach out to me and say that they've sent some of the articles that I've written on this topic to their daughters who are dealing with this and their wives. And so I know this is a prevalent issue. I'm in my early 40s, and I have to say that I still see this, and I remember like vividly, and you guys can tell me if you've also had the same thing vividly. My first interaction with a mean girl, which was like in the second grade, it may have even been earlier. And I remember it was like there were two. One was I was left out of a birthday party and everybody else was invited and they wanted me to know. And then there was another time where a girl came to school with a list of all of the things she hated about me and brought it and showed it to everybody. And I was so upset about it. And I never got over it because obviously I'm 43 and I'm still talking about it, right? So these things stay with us. And I've been pushed out of a job by a woman, and we'll talk about what to do when your boss is the mean girl because you're sort of in a very precarious position. This is not just working with women, it's also women in your life who you don't realize are actually quite jealous of you. I would call those frenemies. It's all around us. And I think women just get more powerful the older they are, when they realize that they can do this, and it happens in all sorts of friend circles. So we're going to delve into this. And so if you have questions that you want me to cover, let me know. I will send some resources. So when I was researching some of the articles that I've written, I talked to psychologists, I talked to a couple of authors of books. So this is not just me making up these things. This is actually me. And I talked to a lot of women who have dealt with mean girl issues. So I don't think we'll run the full hour, but I am happy to open this up to questions as well. Okay. So I just want to preface this by saying, like, I am so lucky to have such amazing women in my life who are mentors, including my former boss, Wendy Bernero, who has been my boss at 4 different law firms, and other women who have helped me throughout my career. And this webinar and these topics are not about those women. There are, and I have to say, every bad thing that has ever happened to me, and those of you who follow me on LinkedIn know that I feel so strongly about this. Like, every bad experience I've had with a colleague, with a boss, with anything in my life has helped to make me into a better person and help shape me. And so I try to use all those experiences to be better at everything I do. And I hope that that's something you'll take from this, like the silver lining when it's really hard to find one. And so this webinar isn't, I don't want to say like all women are like this, because I hate mass generalizations anyway. This is just about that group of people who don't necessarily have our best interests at heart, and how to protect ourselves against them. And I remember, first entering the workforce, my first job was at a magazine, and it was so competitive. And it was sort of like the Devil Wears Prada, but like at not as cool of a magazine. And I was astounded that my colleagues were actually trying to like backstab me and trying to hurt me and trying to do things to get ahead and actively trying to sabotage me, because that just wasn't who I was. And I thought they were my friends. I was so hurt. And I had to develop a thick skin as a result. And I remember just feeling like some of my innocence was gone as a result. And I think it forced me to grow up really fast too in the workplace. And I think it's a good thing and also a bad thing, because it sort of like takes away some of your innocence, and it also makes you a little skeptical of people, maybe more so. I think I have a very, I guess, tough like exterior now and a very big wall up for some people. And that's not great either. So the psychologists that I've talked to and the experts who are in this field say that, you obviously need to give people the benefit of the doubt, but keep your radar up for alarming or, behaviors that may give you pause. Okay. So this isn't meant to say that every woman is like this in the workplace and you should take everything here, with just with a grain of salt. Okay. So what I will say is that when a woman feels usually mean girl and so mean girl is obviously like, talking about, it's just sort of putting everyone in a category. We're obviously talking about mean women at this point. But it's just like sort of a mass generalization, like a term to use. When women usually exhibit behavior like this, it usually stems from a few things. So it's usually from being threatened by another woman and not being able, sometimes it's not even that they can articulate it, it's just a feeling toward you. And also I find social media has made this way worse. Like there are people who are nice to your face who hate you because of social media, because they feel like you're bragging about something. They feel like your life looks better than theirs. They're envious of you. And I have seen that firsthand. So I'm not sure that social media has added to friendships. I think it's always better to like err on the side of not like bragging about your life. And a lot of people sugarcoat their lives on social, but it can create a lot of envious feelings for people, especially if they're having trouble in their lives. Maybe it's infertility, maybe it's financial issues, maybe it's career issues, whatever it is. But that can sort of, hurt the balance, which is why I've always been so careful about who I accepted as friends on social and what I share. So insecurity on their part also impacts this. And by the way, you should feel free to live your life and post what you want, but just know that there are people who are just going to be like this, and just, something about you brings out something in them that makes them feel bad about themselves. And I guess that would be the best way that I would describe it. And then there are just people who will just dislike you for whatever reason. So this is so funny, but somebody said to me that they hated me because they grew up with a Stephanie who was mean to them. And I was like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about that because I can't change my name, right? So, and I think a lot of us have grown up with feelings like that. Like there's somebody who was mean to us back in the day, and somebody we know reminds us. It may not be because of their name, but it could be because of something about them reminds us of somebody who treated us poorly, and we negatively associate that person with that person from our past, even though they didn't do anything to us. And so as a result of some of these feelings, they will engage in some damaging actions, such as the ones I've put on here: backstabbing you, gossiping about you. One of the ones I find prevalent is excluding you from a meeting or a social function. I mean, this is less so in the last 2 years. I will say one of the things I'm thankful about with regard to the pandemic, one of the silver linings is a lot of this BS with regard to mean girls has gone by the wayside because we're not interacting as much in person. So, with a lot more business, we're much more efficient. We're not having those water cooler conversations. We're not getting together and having happy hours where people can be excluded. So that has been helpful in terms of just, kind of minimizing this mean girl behavior. Sabotaging, that's been done to me, whether it's overtly or it is much more, done a little more just sneakily, which I think can be very dangerous. Taking credit for someone else's work happens quite often. There are conversations to which you're not privy all the time. And then obviously helping to push someone out of a job or social circle. There are things you'll never know that happen behind the scenes. And by the way, it's okay to feel crappy about these kinds of things because it happens and at any age. And so, I hear stories all the time about people in their 20s to their people in their 70s where things like this happen. It's a power kind of thing. It is, people talk about a queen bee that's been written up quite a bit. And I think that is also part of this. And by the way, I will say that all of this is part of the reason, one of the major catalysts for why I started Women Who Wow, because I was so disenchanted by the way that I was treated by so many women that I wanted to do something really good in the world for women and to promote really, the successes of women and to have a positive place for women to communicate, learn from each other, and engage. And so that's another thing, like channel your bad experiences into something good. And I'm so thankful that this group came from that. So that's a silver lining, guys. So all of this stuff is like what I would call the dark side of female relationships. And I'm so lucky. I have really great female relationships, but I have had to cut my female relationships in half pretty much over the last few years. And I used to think having more friends and more, peers in the world was better. And I don't necessarily agree with that anymore. I wanted a wide circle. I thought that was good. I trusted too much. And that was to my, that really hurt me. So I think, a lot of people feel like maybe having a smaller circle isn't great, but I think it actually is. So I would just say, it's better to have a few close friends and a few close colleagues than it is to have a very wide circle of people you can't trust. The other advice I will say is to be very careful what you share about your personal life with people at work, and also what you share in your personal life about work. I've had friends, who I would share successes with about my work, and they would constantly sort of like put me down or say things. They didn't seem to be cheerleaders of mine. They seemed to be jealous, or they seemed to just enjoy when bad things happened to me. I remember there was a friend of mine who's no longer a friend of mine, who seemed to enjoy when like I got fired once, and she seemed to kind of enjoy that. And I thought it was such an odd thing. And when a boyfriend broke up with me, she also seemed to relish in it. And she also seemed to always be in competition with me. And I finally realized that she was not actually a friend of mine. She was what I would call a frenemy. And I needed to cut her out of my life. So you'll have friends like that who actually are in your life because it makes them feel good when, just to compare themselves to you. So I would say cut those people out, and you can tell when a friend really has your back or not. And I would also say, like at work, there are people who will use things about you against you. So if you're going through a negative time, if you're going through a divorce, something going on in your personal life, and you share that with them, and then you share that in confidence, and then they tell other people, that's someone who is not on your side, or maybe they're trying to vie for your job or whatever it is. I've had people who reported to me do things like that, where they seem to be, oh, I was going through something, and my mom was very sick, and she eventually passed away. And I had someone reporting to me who was like, let me take over what you're doing. Like, I'll help you, like, no worries, blah, blah, blah. What I didn't realize was she was actually gunning for my job. So I really wasn't in a place to even deal with it, because I was dealing with the death of my mom, but that was someone taking advantage of the fact that I needed help. And so that was a situation that I was unprepared to deal with at the time. So I just had to let it go. So, that was tough. And, I see in the comments, we've got someone here who says, you've got someone who takes them, they take credit for the work of others. I'm going to tell you that is going to catch up with somebody. The thing is, these people, eventually the jig is up. And I think that people are wise enough to figure it out. I think right now, maybe during the pandemic when we're working remotely, it's a little easier to get away with these kinds of things. But I do think that it will catch up with them, because people send around emails and they forward things. And I think you have to talk to people, and not in a gossipy way, but you need to like hold people accountable. So like you can say, I'm having this experience with so-and-so. And this is also what I learned from researching all of the articles that I wrote on this. Dealing with it head on with someone like this, you can confront them directly, or you can talk to other people about it, not in a gossipy way, but saying, I'm having this experience with this person. Have you found it to also be happening to you? That is a way to deal with it, rather than just let it go. Because the more this behavior goes unchecked, sometimes the more the person will continue to do it, and they'll push the limits. They'll keep doing it to see what they can get away with. I had a woman who was spreading the most absurd lies about me, and I didn't know about it. She was pretending to be a friend of mine, and people were just taking her at face value. And eventually somebody decided to tell me what she was saying. And I was able to then defend myself, but it was my word against her word. And there are still some people who thought what she said had validity. You won't be able to defend yourself to everybody. And that is unfortunate. And again, I'm going to go into this, but we got to go where, you know, where we're wanted. We have to go where people believe us. And sometimes these situations are untenable and we have to remove ourselves. And sometimes bad people, unfortunately, win. And that sucks, but it happens. Okay, so let's go a little further into here. Okay, so I talked about a little bit about mean girl triggers, but let's just delve a little bit more into it. So jealousy. And again, this doesn't mean that you did anything to deserve this. This is on them. These are things about them. So jealousy, insecurity, feelings of competition and envy. And then it makes some people powerful to put down another woman who they consider a threat. That's that queen bee syndrome. So this is where this all comes from. It's very, you know, obviously like this just stems from like sort of like childhood immaturity, but it you know, these are very powerful feelings, and you just might be that person's scapegoat at that moment. You're the person. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was that not everyone's going to like me no matter what I do. I can't kill everyone with kindness. I can't win everybody over. And so I stopped trying. The second you realize that is the second you are empowered and that you are in a much better place to be successful in every area of your life. And the second you don't engage with people like this is, you know, and follow your intuition. I would say also, when something seems off about somebody, go with it and just, you know, trust your gut on that too. If someone is also gossiping about other people, I would say 99% or chances they're going to be gossiping about you. And that was one thing I didn't realize. Like I got caught up in some mean girl behavior a few years ago with a friend of mine who used to talk about everybody. And so I sort of started doing it too. And then I felt really awful about it. And I realized when I heard she was talking about me, that she was just that kind of person to everybody. And so she wasn't somebody I found myself emulating her behavior, which wasn't something I wanted to do. Okay, so here are some warning signs, and this could be for professional or personal. So let's look at this. So they're nice to you in public, but in private, they're colder. They like to be in control of situations. So also a narcissist is very often, I would say, a mean girl. They publicly criticize you or your opinions. So I've had this happen to me now. You know, somebody will belittle me on a phone call or a Zoom, and they seem to enjoy it publicly. And I don't react well to that, by the way. And we'll talk about how to deal with that. They twist facts around in situations, make themselves look innocent and make you look like the bad person. Obviously, they steal your work and claim it as their own. They boycott your ideas, projects, social gatherings, and they leave you out of these sorts of things. They may insult you. They may befriend you and then use things against you. This is one of the most insidious things because you don't actually realize that this is happening to you and you're sort of caught off guard, which is, you don't realize the damage, I think, until it's done with this one. This has happened to me. And then they fabricate lies and spread rumors about you while pretending to be your friend. This has happened to me over and over and over again. And I hope I'm smart enough now to realize it. And if you have any others you want to add, please do so. Feel free in the chat. And so I also talked about frenemies a little bit, and we can talk about that. And you can have frenemies in your work group as well. You know, I find I become very close with the people I work with because we're spending so much time during the day together, even now, like through Zoom and through Slack and through Teams. But, you know, I guess this goes to like the last 2 points on my last slide. The worst part about frenemies is that you don't realize that they're doing these things until it's too late and they're masquerading as your friend. So like I said, I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience where there's someone who seems to be your friend, but actually they're always like, I don't know, they don't seem respectful toward you, or they don't seem to be clapping for you when good things happen to you and they feel like you feel like they're enjoying when bad things happen, or they belittle you, or they make fun of you, or what I said in this last slide, they seem to like gossip about you or use some of your secrets against you. That's all signs you need to cut these people out of your life. And I've had situations where it's been so hard because we're so enmeshed together. Like it's a group of 5 of us and we all do everything together. So what do I do if I don't want to be friends with that person, like one person in the group? And my advice on that is to just say, okay, so I may have to see this person publicly and in big groups, but I certainly don't have to engage with this person privately. I don't have to have like a separate relationship, and I can be cordial to someone unless they've done something so egregiously disgusting to you, which has happened to me. And then I just remove myself completely from the group because it's for my own sanity and my own personal well-being. So, you have to make that decision what you're comfortable with. But, I also say, like, just because you've been friends with someone for a really long time doesn't mean you have to continue any friendships. If they don't make you feel good, you don't have to be friends with someone. And I also like reevaluate my friendships every few years and say, like, do I feel good in this person's company? Do they drain me? Do they make me feel good? Do they support me? Do I feel like it's a one-way friendship? Do I feel like I'm always making plans and they're not reciprocating? Do I feel like they support me? Do I feel like they respect me? And then you evaluate based on that. But I don't have all of the same friends that I had in high school or college or even in my 20s now. And there's no hard and fast rule that says that you have to. So I would say, as you change, your friendships change. So be open to that and don't beat yourself up if you've decided that you don't want to remain friends with someone. So learning how to manage mean girls is actually a really important skill to have, and it makes you stronger and more resilient. And I just want to stress again, it's so important to remember, like, there's nothing that you did to deserve this behavior. And even if you were like mistakenly, like you said something to someone and it came across as curt, whatever, we all have our bad days. There's nothing that you did that deserves being the target of someone's bad behavior like this, like criticism, exclusion, sabotage, or gossip. It's not okay. And sometimes it actually borders on criminal behavior to an extent. Like if you feel like someone is bullying you, I've been the victim of cyberbullying by someone, and there are other things you can do on that, or slander, and that's a whole other sort of topic. But we all do things. We've all been mean girls at some point. I also want to say, like I said, if I catch myself gossiping about someone, I really like try to stop myself, because I have had it happen to me and I don't want to be that person, but we're all guilty of it. Just stop, and let's also just make a pact that if we have nothing nice to say, we're not going to say anything at all. And if ever I feel jealous about someone or envious, I use it to my advantage. I'm not married. I don't have kids yet. I never feel jealous about that with my friends. I always just feel happy for them because my life took a different path. And I think there's room out there for everyone to be successful and to do great things. So I always look at everyone's path as being different. And I've never said to wow, I want what she has kind of thing, because there are things about their life that I don't want. So I would say just know that you're on your own path, and that no one's life is as rosy as they make it seem on social or in real life. They've got their own issues. You don't know what they are. So be happy, that you are you're unique you. And then I mentioned, it's really hard to swallow that not everyone will like you, but just be, just focus on the people that do. So I know that not everyone likes me now, and I'm like, okay, fine. I stay in my, and the more successful you get, I've found the more haters you have for whatever reason. That's okay. I don't try to win them over anymore. You do not need anybody in your life who makes you feel bad about yourself. So how do you effectively handle a mean girl? Okay. Number 1, block out the negative noise they create. So, they could say things about you, but so if somebody says something to me, just because they say something about you doesn't mean it's true. And it took me a long time to believe that. There were rumors going around about me and things that people were saying about me. And I remember saying, like, just because so and so got together and say it's true doesn't mean it's true. I know who I am. So just ignore it. Okay. Now, if there's a rumor going around about you or something that really is damaging, do your best, obviously, to, to mitigate it, to diffuse it. But at the end of the day, you know who you are, and the people who love you and who are in your corner know who you are. So ignore it. Don't take what they say about you personally. So this goes to my first point. No matter how hard it is, they don't know you. They're doing this because, again, they're jealous, they're insecure, and it doesn't matter. It's noise. Take the high road. Don't engage with them. So, somebody said maybe you should kill them with kindness. I don't think you should. I don't think you should, try to go back. Like when I said you should, if there's a harmful rumor going around about you, you may want to talk to people about it. But if they're calling you a name, or if they're engaging in childlike behavior like that, just cut it out. Just ignore it. They make themselves look bad. And I would just, you have no time for that. You're busy. You have families, you have kids, you have a busy life, busy work. It's just pay it no mind. Surround yourself with people who have your back. That goes without saying. And rise above the gossip and the negative chatter. No engaging, and support and lift up others. That's what I learned the most from this kind of thing, is that I don't want to be part of it, and I'm going to use my platform to help other women. So what do you do if the mean girl is your boss? Okay. So I've been in this situation, and I hate to tell you this, but you're not going to win in this situation unless you have a very good relationship with your boss's boss or other people at the company where you can get a transfer or something. I was in the situation where the CMO my boss left the firm. A colleague of mine was promoted. She saw me as a threat, and she's actually said to me, there's only room for one of us here, and you're not going to be here in 6 months. And I couldn't believe she said that. Now, I couldn't go to HR because HR is really not on your side. They're on their side for the most part. Again, this is just my experience. It is experience of talking to people with trying to write these series of articles that I wrote, and maybe a book, guys. It's exciting. So here's what I learned. I started getting negative reviews all of a sudden. I started getting pushed out of meetings and projects, and then she hired someone to not report to me, to report to her, and she started giving her my responsibilities. Okay, so the writing was on the wall. So she actually made me resign instead of firing me, and then came to my goodbye party. They threw me a huge goodbye party, and she came and gave a speech. Isn't that funny? It was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And my mom had died 5 months earlier. And I remember she judged me for coming back to work too soon after my mom died, because she said that she didn't think it was appropriate. I was judged every day. I was under a microscope, because that's what they do. They want you out. So they are making you uncomfortable. You have a target on your back. You have a limited time to get yourself out. I didn't get myself out fast enough, so it wound up turning into that situation. But here's the thing. You have a job. You need your job, probably. Respond professionally to her. Don't let it get personal. Don't let her get your cool, lose your cool. She wants you to. You should document what's happening in case you need it, but know that you probably have, you have a target on your back, and you have a finite period of time to find another job. So you should be looking to get a job. And right now is a great time to find a job, because the market is exploding. So this isn't going to probably turn out the way you want it to, because she doesn't want it to. So I hope that helps. I hate to be negative, but you probably don't want to be there anyway. So I don't know why you would want to work for somebody like that. So I would say just get out and go work for someone who appreciates you. But this again stemmed from her insecurity, her lack of management skills, and her jealousy. So, I knew I was, and the thing is, it really undermined, and it's interesting to hear you guys say, like, with your comments here, because it looks like a lot of you have the same experience, which, by the way, makes me feel really good. And I hope it makes you feel good, because we're not alone in this. It's amazing that women can get away with this behavior, that they can do this to other women. It really undermined me as a person. Like, I started feeling terrible about myself because I knew I was really good at my job, and I never had bad reviews before. And it was like, out of the blue, I was being like, sort of like, everything I was doing was scrutinized. I couldn't do anything right all of a sudden. And I really started like feeling terrible about myself and dreaded going into work. I started getting stomach issues. And I used to be so excited about my job, and I wasn't anymore. And I felt like she almost enjoyed what she was doing to me. I felt like it was enjoyable, and that was sick to me. So, you may think HR is on your side, but they aren't, guys. They are on the boss's side, especially if the person is like considered a superstar, have gotten promoted. Someone wants you out, you're out the door. And this is for anybody. This is not just for women who want women out. This is for men who want men out, and men who want a woman out, and a woman who wants a man out. So that's what I have to say on that. Okay. Luckily, there's so many jobs. So and we don't talk about these things enough, which is why I wanted to do this webinar, and why I want to do more webinars like this. So if you have other topics you want to talk about, let me know. We'll have more speakers on in the future. This one turned into just me because I've done a lot of research on this topic, and had, unfortunately, so many experiences with terrible, mean girls. But we'll do more on other topics, because I think it's just not something we talk about enough, and that we need to. So, and yes, we need to know that we're not alone in these experiences, and that, it's perfectly normal. You guys know that I talk about the fact that I've been fired, or like, what do you guys think about the fact that they threw me a goodbye party and she came and gave a toast? Is that the sickest thing you've ever heard? Like, I was just like, this is crazy. So, and I just had to grin and bear it, because I didn't know what else to do. Now I wouldn't have. So anyway, but here's the thing. A lot of good can come out of this. Number one, now I talk about this. Women who, came from this, directly from my experiences with these kinds of women. And I hope that when I record this and post it on YouTube, that she watches this. So, developing a thicker skin is a really useful skill to have throughout your career. And again, I don't want to make it sound like every woman is like this. And I very much made sure I prefaced the webinar like this, because I'm so lucky to have great women out there. And I'm sure you guys are too. This is just for that, small subset that has not been for that, like that. And my dogs agree. You can hear them barking. This can help show you who's really in your corner. I'd say, especially when you're starting a new job, it's so easy to like get roped into like, sharing things with people. I've learned the hard way to share less and less about my personal life. It's a little hard for me because, I post a lot on social, but I try to be careful. I also am so careful about who I accept on social media. That is one thing I want you to take away from this with your colleagues. Be careful who you accept and what you share. One of the things you can do on Instagram is have a work Instagram and a personal Instagram, which is something I have. And I share different things, and I never share anything that I wouldn't want anybody to see or who could screenshot it. Your stories are something on your Instagram that you can make private. So just know that. But once you accept somebody to your Instagram, they can see everything. And I use Facebook much less than I used to, but you can set audience selectors. So I have found, like I said in the beginning, that like when people know too much about your personal life, they can get jealous very easily. Even if your life isn't perfect, they see you bought a new house and they're not where they have financial issues and they're not where they want to be. Maybe you just had a baby and they have infertility and you don't know about it. That makes them angry. You just got promoted. They're pissed off about it. You don't know what motivates people. You just got married. You don't know that their marriage is in shambles. It's a lot of motivating factors that don't have anything. And I have found the more like I write and speak and put myself out there on social, the more people hate me. Some people, because they wish sometimes they were doing those things and that they could do it, but they're not confident enough to do it. It's not like what I'm saying is makes them crazy. It's that they want to do it, but they're not ready to do it, or they don't want to put themselves out there, but that makes them, I guess, envious of me in some way. So I can't do anything about that because I can't not be me, right? And that's fine. One person meant to send somebody else a mean comment about me, but wrote it to me recently and said, who does she think she is giving all of this advice to people? She's not even that successful. Yeah, I'm just going to pause there for a second. And I wrote back to her and I was like, I don't think you meant this for me. Happy New Year. I hope the new year brings you much more happiness than this year did. I was shocked that she said, she didn't write back, guys. Can you believe it? So, yeah, so that happens, but I don't care. I am me. I'm just going to keep posting. If you don't like it, you can delete, unsubscribe, or mute me. So that's your prerogative. So yeah, it happens a lot, right? Like, so other people are saying like people badmouth you. I've gotten that like someone will forward like an email meant for someone else and they'll forward it to me. So yeah, happens. So I think the more successful you get, the more haters you will get. Just know that. And it has nothing to do with you. But this goes to my point, my last point on this slide. Show your detractors that not only can they not stop you, but you will succeed and help others around you in spite of this, which is what I do. I keep showing up, I keep doing the things, and I continue to do it. You guys do it too. So every hater you've ever had, every bad boss, every mean girl, keep showing up, keep being successful. And by the way, when it comes to like, references and people you're still connected to in like LinkedIn and worrying about, if you've ever been fired from a job or there's been a mean person, who cares? Like, disconnect with anybody who's ever been mean to you or who's not shown you respect, or defriend them on personal social. I have a zero tolerance policy for that kind of stuff. So you do not need to be connected to anybody who makes you feel bad or be anyone's punching bag. So if you feel uncomfortable with anybody, get them out of your life. They're done. Okay. And that goes not just social, real life too, because social is just, somewhat fake. Okay. And then also when you personally feel jealous about someone else, or find yourself gossiping, take a minute and take away, like, just, ask yourself, like, what am I accomplishing by doing this? Because it's really like, if you spent the time focusing on yourself and your own path and not anyone else's, you would be so much more productive and more successful, and we would stop this negative chatter. So, I know like I said, I fall into these patterns sometimes and I don't want to. And then, we often define ourselves by what others say about us, and that's how mean girls get their power. And I would just say, again, I'll reiterate, ignore the noise. Focus on becoming a better version of you every single day. If any of you have children, women, girls, talk to them about this. Try to instill in them the importance of being themselves, ignoring this kind of stuff. I worry about kids today because we didn't grow up with social media. I know how hard it is to deal with cyberbullying as a woman, and I've had to deal with it. And as a teenager, I can't even imagine what it's like. So we have such a responsibility to kids now to protect them. And and the future generations. So all we can do is set a good example for others and for women around us, the women who work for us, the women who are in our lives. And the negative comments of a few people do not define you. And it hurts. Yeah, it hurts every day when people say things about me, but they don't define who I am. So that's what I want to say about that. And like at work, how do you deal with them in the moment when something like this happens to them? To you, I would just say, you need to face it sometimes head on. If somebody is rude to you on a Zoom, it's so uncomfortable. And I think that's my last slide. So what I do is like, I don't know if you meant to say it in that way, but I perceived it as if you were blank. And if you don't want to do it on the Zoom, or like on a phone call, you do it later. Do it by chat, do it by email. If you're not comfortable, do it that way, pick up the phone. There's no right or wrong answer to that, but I would address it with the person in some way, right? I don't know if it's in person, you could certainly do it in person. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to do it in person. I don't know that I always do it that way. Sometimes I'll address it later on, but it is important, I think, to address it. I just want to bring up, there's a couple webinars coming up, and then I'll take any questions and look at the chat. There's the Leopard State of the Industry report next week. I'm moderating. I'm also writing the report. It's awesome. Come see it. And then how to effectively manage, market your small or mid-sized law firm. And then LinkedIn group coaching starting in February. And we'll have Melanie Lipman back for Women Who Wow. And I have a LinkedIn, sorry, she's gonna be in February. And I have a LinkedIn hashtags program coming up. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna look, ooh, there are some good, okay. So what if someone's a mean girl who is, it's an organization you work with, your firm works with. Yeah, so also I've had this happen to me when I was at a law firm. And it was like a client, like a vendor we worked with, and the person was mean to me and they were above me and I had to work with them and they were just like very dismissive. Okay, so it's a tough one, right? I mean, I think you can tell your boss that like sometimes so-and-so comes off a little abrasive and it rubs you the wrong way and you're sure she doesn't mean it this way. Or you can try to just communicate, sometimes it's communication style. So like I found with lawyers in particular, they can be very abrasive over email. And then when I'm with them in person or over the phone or over a Zoom, they can't help but like be different or smile or be more personable. So it may just be the way you're communicating. So you might want to try a different way. If it's the way they rub you, like there's certain people who I cannot stand over email, but in person they're different, like over like, phone or email, phone or Zoom, or in person, they're like Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, a totally different person. So I might try communicating in a different way with that person, if that makes sense. And if that doesn't work, you may just want to say, I don't know if you feel comfortable like bringing it head on, but you may say like, like something even like joking around. Like I've done this before. Like I used to work with someone who was like, not perky like me and not like happy. And you can say like, even joking around being like, okay, I like had my 3 coffees today and I've got a lot of extra energy. So I hope it rubs off on you. Like just making like a joke or something to get that person to like crack a little bit, that might help in some way. But if the person is belittling you and it's not nice to you, you may need to get somebody else involved to help you, because again, you don't have to stand for behavior that isn't respectful, and you don't need to be abused by anybody, and you don't need to be treated poorly. And so let's see if there's any other questions. So yes, I am going to do something on Instagram, so stay tuned for that. So that will come up. And yeah, I would just say, so I hope this is helpful. If you guys have any other topics that you want me to do, let me know. Like, so Melanie's going to talk about like some more like image consulting kind of stuff. We're going to be doing a Women Who Wow conference, guys, in 2022. So I'm so excited. I don't know if it's going to be in person, but they will definitely be a, it will be virtual as well. So I think that that's going to be really awesome. So do message me with any other topics that you have. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm so thankful for you guys to come back. Lots of awesome things planned for 2022. I am excited for, all the things we're going to do this year. So thank you guys for joining. I will give you guys back like another 13 minutes of your day. So thanks, guys.